Right now, somewhere in your pocket or on the table beside you, your phone is sitting there doing nothing. And yet, some part of you already wants to check it. You checked it an hour ago. Nothing important happened. You will probably check it again in the next few minutes. That feels like a modern problem, a willpower problem. But the real answer is far stranger than you think. You have probably heard the word for this: addiction, doom scrolling, brain rot. The story goes that tech companies hijacked your dopamine and turned you into a lab rat pressing a lever. That story is not entirely wrong, but it misses something much older and much stranger sitting underneath it. Your brain was not built for phones. It was built for something else entirely, something that mattered enormously for 2 million years: information about danger and opportunity in your environment. Picture a small group of early humans resting near the edge of a clearing. A twig snaps somewhere in the tall grass. Every head turns. Every set of eyes locks onto that spot. Was it a predator? Was it food? Was it nothing at all?
The group does not know yet, and not knowing is unbearable. So they check. They scan the grass. They wait. They check again. That checking behavior kept your ancestors alive. A brain that ignored small, ambiguous signals in its environment was a brain that got surprised by something with teeth. A brain that obsessively monitored its surroundings, that could not rest until uncertainty resolved into an answer, was a brain that survived to pass itself on. You are descended, generation after generation, from the checkers, not from the ones who shrugged it off. Here is where the psychologist Bluma Zygarnik enters the story. In the 1920s, Zygarnik noticed something odd about waiters in a Vienna cafe. They could remember complex, unfinished orders in perfect detail. But the moment an order was completed and paid for, the details evaporated from memory almost instantly. She ran experiments confirming the pattern. Unfinished tasks stick in the mind with a kind of nagging tension. Completed tasks get released. This became known as the Zygarnik effect, and it describes something close to a psychological itch that only closure can scratch. Now look at your phone through that lens. A notification is not really about the content inside it. It is an open loop, an unfinished order.
Your brain does not know what is behind that red circle with the number in it, and not knowing pulls at you the exact same way that rustling grass pulled at your ancestors. The phone is not addictive because it is full of danger. It is addictive because it is full of tiny, endless, unresolved uncertainty. Does that sound familiar? Think about the last time you saw an unread message count. Did you feel a small tug to open it, even if you were busy? That tug did not come from weakness. It came from a system that spent millions of years rewarding you for resolving uncertainty quickly. But there is a second piece to this puzzle, and it is even stranger. Uncertainty alone is not enough to explain how compulsively people check their phones today. For that, you need to understand variable reward. In the 1950s, the psychologist B.F. Skinner ran a famous series of experiments with pigeons and levers. When a lever delivered a food pellet every single time it was pressed, pigeons pressed it calmly, almost lazily. But when the lever delivered a pellet only sometimes, unpredictably, the pigeons pressed it far more often, far more urgently, and kept pressing long after the food stopped coming entirely. Skinner called this a variable ratio reinforcement schedule, and it turned out to produce the most persistent, hardest to extinguish behavior he had ever observed in the lab. Your phone runs on almost exactly this schedule. Sometimes you check it and there is nothing. Sometimes there is a message that makes you laugh. Sometimes there was a like, a reply, a small hit of social validation. You cannot predict which outcome you will get, and that unpredictability is precisely what keeps the checking going, in the same way it kept Skinner's pigeons pecking at an empty lever. So you have two ancient systems stacked directly on top of each other. One system that cannot rest until an open loop closes. One system that gets hooked hardest by rewards it cannot predict. Neither system was designed with a smartphone in mind.
Both systems evolved for a world of rustling grass and occasional berries, not a world of push notifications engineered by product teams who understand exactly how these systems work. That last part matters. This is not an accident. Modern app design deliberately borrows from behavioral research to keep these ancient loops firing as often as possible. The pull to refresh gesture, the red notification badge, the infinite scroll with no natural stopping point. Each one is built, consciously, to exploit a checking instinct that used to protect your ancestors from leopards. Think about what that means. The device in your pocket is not simply competing for your attention. It is speaking directly to a part of your brain that is 2 million years old, in a language that part of your brain has no defense against, because it evolved in a world where that language always meant something real. There is a modern mirror worth sitting with here. Researchers studying phone use have found that even having a phone visible on a table, turned off, powered down, can measurably reduce a person's ability to concentrate on an unrelated task. Not because the phone is doing anything, simply because some part of the brain knows an unresolved loop is sitting nearby, and that knowledge alone consumes a small, steady trickle of attention. Your ancestors would have understood this immediately. It is the mental equivalent of hearing a twig snap and being unable to fully unclench, even after you have decided the sound was nothing.
So what do you do with this? You are not broken. You are not weak-willed. You are running two extremely old and extremely effective survival systems in an environment engineered to trigger them constantly, on purpose, by people who studied exactly how they work. Understanding that does not make the pull disappear, but it changes what the pull means. It is not proof that something is wrong with you. It is proof that something in you still works exactly the way it was built to. Tonight, your phone will sit there, doing nothing again, and some part of you will still want to